The Atlanta Braves have made their second big signing in 2 days, signing all-star closer Robert Suarez to a 3-year, $45 million deal. Let's talk about it. Yes, welcome on in to Braves Today, a special bonus edition here on Thursday, December 11th. This is your source for news, notes, and updates on your Atlanta Braves. I'm Lindsay Crosby. You can follow me on social media at Crosby Baseball. You can follow the show on X, Braves_today. We have a Facebook page and an Instagram as well. And you can find all of my written work, bravestoday.com. That's the Braves Today Substack, as this is both a podcast and a newsletter. We're proudly part of the Believe Podcast Network and presented to you by FanDuel. Go to FanDuel.com or download the FanDuel app today to get started. For the second straight day, the Braves have made a significant signing. Yesterday it was Mike Yastrzemski. I did a special bonus pod yesterday evening to break that down. It's in your feeds right now. This is now an announcement. Right-hand pitcher Robert Suarez, 34 years old, 3-year, $45 million deal. The logistics here. He'll make $13 million this year. $16 million in each of the next 2 seasons. He's also donating 1% to the Atlanta Braves Foundation, so we're keeping that alive. And per multiple reports, David O'Brien, Ken Rosenthal, multiple people, he will be the setup man for Raisel Iglesias in 2026. You would assume he would then be taking over the closing role for 27 and for 28. So, who is Robert Suarez? Why is this a big deal? What does he do? Let's talk about it. He has a shorter history in the States than a lot of other players, right? He is from Venezuela, but he did not debut in the majors until 2022 at the age of 31, right? He started playing in Mexico and then Japan. And he didn't actually sign domestically until the 2022 season. Signed with the Padres. He spent his entire major league career up to now with the Padres. In those 4 seasons, 22-13 record, 2.91 ERA. He slightly overperformed from his field independent pitching is a 3.36. So he's slightly overperformed, but it's still pretty good, right? He has 77 saves in his career, including his second year as the Padres closer. He had 36 in 2024, and then he had 40 in 2025. He was an all-star in both seasons, and he actually led the National League in saves last season. 75 strikeouts in 69 2/3 innings last year. He had 59 strikeouts in 65 innings the year before. He has gotten better at getting strikeouts. And it's a really unusual, I say unusual package. It's kind of similar to Raisel Iglesias, albeit missing a component. So Suarez does what he does with a 3-pitch mix. And throughout his time in baseball, he's had like 1 or 2 other pitches that were very minor parts of his arsenal. But the main thing that he does, 4-seamer, changeup, and a sinker. And if you're thinking that sounds a lot like Raisel Iglesias, you would be correct. Raisel Iglesias is 4-seam, changeup, sinker, and a slider. Raisel still throws that slider, although it gave him a lot of trouble last year early. When Suarez came over and signed domestically, he was throwing a slider. He has not thrown it since 2023. He also has a cutter, and he barely uses that. He threw 2 of them last year. He also, that first season in 22, he had a curveball. So he was throwing 6 pitches the first year that he was here, and he has now pared that down to 3. I don't believe he was ever a starter. Like, he's always been a reliever. He's made, starts. Like, he made I think a minor league start once or twice as like a, but for the most part, he is a true reliever, right? I don't know if Atlanta is going to try to reintegrate any of those pitches, the slider, the curveball, the cutter, but he has thrown them in the past. He just does things right now, four-seam changeup sinker. It's from a stuff plus perspective, right? The pitch models that grade how good your pitches are. It is a very, very good mix of pitches. So the actual stuff he throws is very good. His overall stuff plus score is a 113. And a reminder there, 100 is even. 100 is league average. His is 113. His four-seam fastball grades out at a 115. His sinker grades out at a 117. The changeup grades out at a 106. The only reason he ends up being lower is because that cutter's an 88. It's not very good. Back in 22, when he threw everything was at least a 100. The curveball was a 100. The slider was a 107. So they may try to bring that slider back. But it is a very, very good package. He averaged 98.6 on the four-seamer, 98.4 on the sinker. The changeup's 90.5 miles an hour. I mean, it's a power package here. 2, he does have the third fastball, a hard changeup. I mean, he's throwing gas at you. And again, like I mentioned earlier, multiple reports, he's going to be working in, he's going to be working as the setup man for Raisel Iglesias. So, couple things here. First, let's talk about what the bullpen looks like. And then let's talk about, from a money perspective, where you are left with the money to add going forward. So, from a bullpen perspective, that means right now your bullpen looks like Raisel Iglesias is the closer. Robert Suarez is your right-handed setup man. Dylan Lee is your left-handed setup man. And then in middle relief, you have Aaron Bummer, the ground ball lefty. You have Joel Payamps, the righty. You have, as longmen, you have Jose Suarez. You have Joey Wentz. You have Grant Holmes, presumably. They're going to stretch Holmes out as a starter. He's going to come to spring training as a starter. But odds are he'll be the odd man out of the rotation. And so there's that. This doesn't account for Dylan Dodd, lefty, and Bryce Elder. Both of those guys are out of options. Elder's been a starter. Dodd's been a reliever. Like, you're in a situation now where you're starting 5. Sale, Schwellenbach, Strider, Ronaldo Lopez feels like a lock now to be in your rotation. Your number 5 is Hurston Waldrop, Bryce Elder, Grant Holmes. One of those 3. And again, the issue here is 2 of them don't have options. Holmes doesn't have options and Elder doesn't have options. So either Elder's in your rotation, Holmes is in your pen, Waldrop's in Gwinnett, or Holmes is in your rotation, Elder's in your bullpen, Waldrop's in Gwinnett. If you put Hurston Waldrop in the opening day rotation, or if you make a deal and acquire somebody like a Freddie Peralta or whatever, you end up being in a situation where you have to lose someone of Bryce Elder or Grant Holmes. And even with this configuration here, you're probably going to end up losing Dylan Dodd. Unless you make a trade. Maybe they trade Aaron Bummer. He's owed $9.5 million. So maybe they move him. We talked about that a couple times this offseason. That would allow you to keep Dodd or add another closer. If Joe Jimenez ends up being okay, then you slot him right into that back end, and you have Lee, Jimenez, Suarez, and Iglesias to take the 6th through 9th innings. I think the big deal here is, and I've been asking for this winter, you now have a backup closer, right? You have somebody with closing experience. If Iglesias, you don't have to run him out there 3 straight days. If he has to do too much and he's down, you have another guy who has been a closer to come in and do things, which is something that I've asked for a lot. Like, you're not in a situation now where you're having to go to somebody who's never done it. Look at last year, Pierce Johnson. They asked him to be the closer briefly when they kind of sat Iggy back. He blew 2 saves in San Francisco. You lost 2 games because he blew the save in the 9th or the 10th or whatever. right? You did not have a backup closer on the roster. Now you do. So if Iggy struggles, if Iggy gets hurt, you have a guy who can slot into a closing role. So that's a big deal. And then again, let's look at the money real quick, because this deal was announced by the team. It's $45 million over 3 years. So the luxury tax calculation will be $15 million a year. It's just a straight math problem right there. 45 divided by 3. But the actual cash, he's getting $13 million this year. And then in 27 and 28, he's getting $16 million in each one of those years. So in essence, the $16 million that Iglesias is getting this year, he will be getting that money the next season, right? He'll just slot in at that pay rate and take the Iglesias thing. You'll also have other money coming off the books. Joe Jimenez, $9 million, he'll be done. Aaron Bummer, $9.5 million, he'll be done. So you will subtract plenty of bullpen salaries. What's that in my head? $34.5 million in bullpen salaries going into next year. You'll free up some cash there. Now, you may need to use some of that money to re-sign Chris Sale. He's on the $18 million club option, and that's the last contractual control that he has. But you will free up money next season so you can pay Suarez as a closer, and he can close for 2 years. What all of this means, when you add all of this together, that the estimated pay for Dylan Lee, he's the only arbitration eligible they did not reach an agreement with, that puts you at $241 million. Your CBT estimate is slightly lower. Your CBT estimate is $236 and change. Because remember, CBT goes off of not the actual cash, but off of the average value, right? The first luxury tax tier is $244. So you're not yet over the first luxury tax tier. And remember, AA is fine going all the way up, but not exceeding the third tier, which is $40 million above the threshold. It's $284 million. When you factor in that AA likes to keep $8 to $10 million available for the trade deadline, it means that theoretically, the team could have $35 million left to spend this winter. So signing Robert Suarez does not block you from adding anybody that you want to add within reason, right? You can sign Ha-Seong Kim if you want to. You can trade for Freddie Peralta, right? If you extend Freddie Peralta, which I would think you'd want to extend Freddie Peralta if you acquire him, that's a situation where the extension kicks in for 27. You get him on his, $8 million salary for 26. You can fit him and Ha-Seong Kim under this payroll. Maybe now you prioritize a bigger bat at shortstop, either making a big deal to go get Corey Seager, who the Rangers are listening on but are not inclined to move, so you'd have to overpay. Or maybe they go out and they sign somebody like Bo Bichette. I don't know. I don't think you should sign Bo Bichette, but I can see a scenario where Bichette can play short, Dubon can fill in for him late defensively while Bichette kicks over to second. And then when Ozzy's done, Bichette becomes your second baseman. I don't think they should do that, but maybe you could do that. The money's there. This signing, just like the Yastrzemski signing, just like the Dubon acquisition, none of these salaries are big enough to stop you from making other moves. So again, you can add Ha-Seong Kim. You can still get just about anybody you want to get, right? But what I also love is it feels very impossible now to make the argument that the Braves, and Alex Anthopoulos in particular, and the Braves in general, do not want to make the team better or are not willing to spend money to make the team better. Because if you look at who's been signed this winter, if you look at the top free agents, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the only team that has signed multiple top 50 free agents in the MLB Trade Rumors rankings is the Atlanta Braves. They brought back Raisel Iglesias. They signed Robert Suarez. And I believe Yastrzemski was either towards the bottom of that top 50 as one of the better corner outfield options available, or in the honorable mentions. Atlanta has jumped on multiple top 50 free agents this winter in an attempt to make the team better. So I think this should finally be, hopefully, enough for people to understand that, yes, Atlanta knows not making the postseason last year was not good enough. And they need to be better. And they have gone out and spent money to try and address the deficiencies on the roster. Is it perfect? No, you still have not found a way to directly replace a healthy Marcell Ozuna's production. Yastrzemski and Dubon, if they were to combine, if you got Kim and Yastrzemski and Dubon combined as your platoon, Yaz hits righties, Dubon hits lefties, if that was your outfield platoon, it is good. They are both above average hitters in those platoon situations, but you're not replacing the 4,100 potential of Marcell Ozuna. Now, some of that you could hope if Austin Riley's fully healthy and back to himself, that he's doing that. That a full season of Ronald Acuna Jr. could make up for some of that. So this is another move where they made the team better. This is a flashier move than Yastrzemski. But either way, the Braves are spending money because they have learned their lesson from the previous years and they're trying to make the team better. And for me, that is what I really wanted out of this offseason. I wanted the team to be better. I want the team to win the division again, go back to the postseason. But the hope that they were trying to spend money to be better, that was the biggest thing for me. And we got it. They are trying to spend money. They are trying to be better than they were last year. They are not content to just let guys get healthy and run it back. And for that, in this holiday season, I am thankful. Special bonus edition of Braves Today for Thursday, December 11th. Do me a favor. You're listening on audio. A 5-star review would be fantastic. Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you know when we go live with bonus episodes, shorts, and all that kind of stuff. We'll have a chance, the media will, to speak to both Yastrzemski and Suarez on Thursday afternoon. Hopefully we'll get something good out of those Zoom conversations and I can bring it to you guys tomorrow. But either way, we're back tomorrow with another episode of Braves Today. And until next time, this has been Braves Today.